Welcome to Know It All, a place to connect with researchers to answer all questions on health, science, technology, business, culture, and more. This episode on what is a graph database was created for you by Naira. In this topic, Know It All will answer: what is a graph database? What are some of the key features of a graph database? What are the languages used with graph databases? What are some examples of graph databases? What are graph databases used for? What are some of the advantages of graph databases? A graph database is a type of database that is designed to store and manage data in the form of interconnected nodes and relationships, rather than in the traditional rows and columns of a relational database. Graph databases are often used to store and analyze complex data sets that are composed of many interconnected entities, such as social networks, supply chains, and knowledge graphs. One of the key features of a graph database is its ability to represent data as a network of interconnected nodes and relationships. Each node in a graph database represents an entity, such as a person, product, or location, and each relationship represents the connection between two nodes. For example, in a social network, nodes could represent individual users and relationships could represent friendships or connections between users. What are the languages used with graph databases? There are several languages that are commonly used to work with graph databases, depending on the specific graph database management system, DBMS, being used. Some of the most commonly used languages for working with graph databases include Cypher. Cypher is a declarative language that is specifically designed for querying and modifying graph data in Neo4j, a popular graph database management system. Cypher uses a simple and intuitive syntax that makes it easy to specify complex queries and update operations. Gremlin. Gremlin is a graph traversal language that is used with Apache Tinkerpop, an open-source graph computing framework. Gremlin allows developers to write complex queries and traversals that can be executed against a variety of graph databases, including Neo4j, JNUSGraph, and Cosmos DB. Sparkle. Sparkle Protocol, an RDF query language, is a query language for working with RDF, Resource Description Framework, data, which is a standard for representing data in the form of interconnected nodes and relationships. Sparkle is often used with graph databases that store data in the RDF format, such as Virtuoso and Big Data. SQL. Many graph databases also support SQL, which is a widely used language for working with traditional relational databases. SQL can be used to query and modify data in graph databases, although it may not be as well suited to working with complex graph data as some of the other languages mentioned above. Some examples of graph databases include Neo4j, a popular open-source graph database written in Java. JNUSGraph, an open-source graph database that is designed to be scalable and support large datasets. TigerGraph, a proprietary, high-performance graph database that is optimized for real-time analytics and big data workloads. ArongoDB, a multi-model database that supports graph, document, and key-value data models. OrientDB, an open-source, multi-model database that supports graph, document, key-value, and object data models. FlockDB, a distributed, scalable graph database developed by Twitter for storing and querying social graphs. RedisGraph, a graph database module for the Redis in-memory data structure store. Graph databases are particularly well suited for storing and querying data that has complex relationships or connections between entities. For example, in a supply chain management system, graph databases can be used to store and analyze data about the relationships between different suppliers, manufacturers, and customers. Similarly, in a knowledge graph, graph databases can be used to store and analyze data about the relationships between different concepts, ideas, and entities. One of the main advantages of graph databases is their ability to quickly and easily query and analyze complex data sets. Because the relationships between nodes are explicitly defined in the database, it is easy to traverse the graph and perform complex queries to find specific nodes or relationships. This makes graph databases an attractive choice for many data analysis tasks, such as recommendation engines, fraud detection, and network analysis. Overall, graph databases are a powerful tool for storing and analyzing complex data sets that are composed of interconnected entities and relationships. They are widely used in a variety of applications, including social networking, supply chain management, and knowledge management. Thank you for listening. For more answers to questions on health, science, technology, business, culture, and more, don't forget to subscribe to Know It All.